Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined alongside Jack Weinberger and Zach Bloomquist, the best executive producer in the game. For those wondering where Robert Ziggy Ziegler is, just one more episode. You just have to endure one more episode of the three of us before Ziggy is back. We finally got a comment. We thought when we put out the last show that a bunch of people were just going to streamline the comments of where's Ziggy, where's Ziggy, where's Ziggy. And we saw a couple of them, but just recently we finally saw one from someone who said, Ziggy is the glue of this show. He's really what makes this work. Even though I like watching, it needs Robert Ziggy Ziegler. So we're excited to get Ziggy back for next week. Quarterback rankings, we'll dive into some mini camp updates, and I'm sure Ziggy is well equipped and well prepared. Probably has been studying. He's actually probably studying like crazy right now. For next week's show.
We all know he's well equipped.
Yes.
Ziggy's well equipped. We don't have to, that's no debate. But look at this: 2 episodes in a row. Producer Zack is here.
That's a record.
Off the grind from concrete. Now he's in the building.
There he is. Look at that. That's the definition of a man.
Got
right
my
there.
Wisconsin hat on. I saw a fan suggest Wisconsin. I saw a Minnesota suggestion, Oregon, and Iowa. So we'll get to those soon.
It's one at a time.
I don't have a drink. I don't have a drink today, unfortunately. I just came from work. It's still the afternoon.
Yeah, we're recording a little earlier today, so Jack isn't. Jack's not blacked out at this point in the day.
Actually, wait a minute.
Oh,
wait a minute. There's something in my pocket. What's my pocket? There's something in my pocket. It's a shooter.
Dude, are you kidding me? We didn't know about that.
What are the odds?
Oh,
what are the odds? I mean, I guess I got to rip it now, right?
Tito's?
This is Tito's. I guess it's been in my pocket for a bit.
Oh my God, it's 4 o'clock.
But this for all the Wisconsin, for all those Wisco people who think they can go drink for drink with me are out of their minds, by the way. It's going to be cool when we go up there and a skinny kid from Jersey outdrinks them all.
Are you actually drinking that?
You're down the hatch, I guess, right?
Oh my God, it's just 4 o'clock on a Wednesday. God, is that? Oh. Jeez, yeah, all right.
Disgusting.
All right.
Almost as disgusting as Baltimore Ravens fans, but not quite.
You know what's crazy?
Not quite.
Yeah.
Is Jack doesn't need a
chaser?
A chaser?
Yeah.
No, we don't take.
He'll probably throw up in a couple minutes.
We don't take chasers in New Jersey. We're tough.
Jack is the worst ever at drinking. He's the worst ever.
Jersey breeds is different, and I can't wait to go shot for shot with these Wiscos.
Oh, jeez. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Yeah, if this isn't making you subscribe, I'm not sure what is.
Now I want one more.
Remember, you can become a member by going to our channel's homepage and clicking the join button. If you're on mobile, go to the homepage, click on the 3 dots in the bottom right of your screen, request desktop version, and hit join. Some people say you can even join right from the video. So if that's an option, we appreciate everyone who's becoming a member. We'll have a mailbag next week where you can submit your questions. We read every single question from members. And of course, you can always listen on audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen to your podcast if you can't catch us on YouTube, where most of our content lives. So today, Jack, it's still kind of slow for the NFL. Next week, we'll really start having the minicamp stories come out. So for today, we're looking over what to do. And I came across an article by Adam Rank, NFL.com, NFL Network. And he wrote about the Philadelphia Eagles, the state of the Eagles, heading into the 2024 season. And at the end of it, he said success for the Eagles will be defined as a Super Bowl win, make the playoffs, or go on a playoff run, earn a playoff berth, finish above 500, or show progress. And I thought that was kind of an interesting way of approaching this show, is if we took 5 or 6 NFC teams that we really are interested in during this season and said, okay, what would be considered a successful season? Because expectations are different for different teams. And the NFC particularly, I think you have a little bit more debate as to what will be considered a success. In the AFC, I think for the Bills, Bengals, Chiefs, Ravens, it's all win Super Bowl. But in the NFC, amongst the elite contenders, you have San Francisco, we know that's win a Super Bowl. But from then on out, what would fans say is a success for some of these teams? So we're going to go into a few of those. And Producer Zack could tell us if we stray too far from I guess what would be considered an acceptable answer. So you could kind of be the judge of this, Zack, and tell us if we're doing things the right way here.
And feel free to chime in.
Yeah, feel free to chime in. We love when Zack chimes in.
If you don't fall asleep at the mic.
I won't fall asleep.
So, all right.
I look good in this red hat, don't I?
I can't see it right now. I mean, from here, looks pretty good.
Well, of course you can see it. You're right next to me.
Looks good. I'm on camera. I'm on camera. Zack is behind the scenes.
Red hat, red hair, shades back on, summer approaching.
Dangerous.
Long
Tito's
shirt.
Tito's in hand.
It is pretty hot right now. Okay,
They can
so
always
the
roll
first
sleeves
team
up.
that we'll talk about, the Chicago Bears here. Caleb Williams has generated a ton of buzz for all Bears fans. That's just something we're going to see the entire offseason. There'll be overreactions to basically everything that comes out of Bears camp, training camp, mini camp, whatever it might be, where there was the fake story, or we believe it was a fake story of the 7 interceptions. Then we heard about him struggling against the Bears defense. On some days, he's amazing where he has these angles that he could throw the ball. It's still at such a high velocity when he's jumping and spinning. So I was listening to some Bears podcasts recently, and there are some pretty good Bears podcasts out there if you go and take a listen to them. And they were just talking about this, like, what do we want from Caleb? What do we want to see differently over the next few months? That was one of the mailbag questions they got. And I thought the answer was, honestly, it was a little bit of a cop-out answer, but I thought it was accurate when he said, I just want things to look different. I don't want to be in the middle of training camp and have Caleb Williams still struggling. I don't compared to years past, where Justin Fields, it was never wow moments really with Justin Fields. There are a few, but not the same way that Caleb Williams can deliver. So Bears fans, they just want to see, in the middle of July, it shouldn't be Bears dominate Williams again. I think that's one thing that jumps off for Bears fans is, okay, let's just see progress throughout the season. And then when we get to the actual season itself, if I had to pick between making the playoffs or being above 500, which is, I would say, are the two categories you can select as success for the Bears, I would say, so they were 7-10 last year. I would say for the Bears to have a successful season, they need to win 9 games. So yes, earn a record above 500.
I would even say just an improvement from last year.
You just show progress.
Even if it's by a game. Even if it's 8-9, 9-8, hover around that 500 mark. I mean, it's tough to say make the playoffs is successful when they're clearly they're the 3rd best team in the division. And the clear cut. The Lions and Packers are better than they are. The Bears are the 3rd best team in their own division. And I can see a whole handful of teams, obviously the cream of the crops, like the Niners, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Lions, they're better than the Bears too. So playoffs to me is out. If you hover around with a rookie quarterback who hasn't played a snap yet, he just shows some flashes of what he can potentially do. Flashes of greatness, improvement as the season goes on. And they can finish 8-9, 9-8, maybe right on the outside looking in. Mm-hmm. That's a successful season for the Bears. I mean, look, like I said before, there's been so many quarterbacks who are great in college, who are hyped up, who we think are going to be superstars, who aren't. I think Caleb Williams has to show some good things, show some promise. The Bears can flutter around the playoff spot, week 17, week 18. But at least 8 wins for me is a success.
Okay, so for you, it is just show progress.
It's just show improvement from last year.
I think that's probably the right approach to have to
making the playoffs for the Bears. That would be asking for some gravy.
Doesn't it seem like a lot of people though are starting to have that approach to Chicago? That when you look at along the NFC, you have the 2 in the NFC North, right? Then you have your Niners, you have your Eagles and Cowboys. And you have the Falcons or Bucks, probably the Falcons in the NFC South. So Bears fans are sitting there saying, man, this roster is really good. That 7th spot is just sitting there wide open. It's like, okay, we're going to have to go against Baker Mayfield and Tampa, who we like on this podcast, but generally speaking, not a world beater. Or it's the Rams, and you never know about Matthew Stafford. And outside of that, I don't think there are many teams in the NFC that you can realistically say are good enough to get that 7 seed unless a lot of things go right. So I understand why Bears fans are starting to look at that 7th seed and saying, oh, that could and maybe should be ours if everything goes the way we're hoping. But in terms of expectations, I agree with you. I think that's asking for the cherry on top. You just want to be in a position where heading into next season, you're ready to take another leap.
Yeah, there's a difference in expectations and then like hitting your ceiling and expectations and then a reality, like a hope. I think you can hope, like some teams can't.
Oh yes,
but
yes.
You can hope to get into the playoffs as a 6 or 7 seed and maybe win a game, whereas other teams can't. But I think what you should expect is around that 8-win mark.
I agree.
And be one of the first teams on the outside looking in.
I told you this right before we started. I think maybe the biggest or most underrated topic in the NFC North this entire offseason so far is the Chicago Bears defense and their ability to take a step into being potentially a top 5 unit in the NFL. Keenan Allen finally had his first practice with them, or first practices, and he said they look like a top 5 defense. They sound like one too. You hear them whooping and hollering after every play. So he said it's actually pretty annoying. But the Bears, for all the struggles they had earlier in the season, once Montez Sweat came, they really turned it on and became one of the more ferocious units. Number one in rushing defense all on the season. And if you look up and down their roster, they got linebackers, they have the feared pass rusher, they have the number one corner. I think that this defense is being slept on. And if everything comes together, that playoff spot should certainly be in play for Chicago. But expectations, I'm going to go with getting to over 500. You'll go with show progress. Let's move on now. Let's keep it in the NFC North here. Let's go to the Detroit Lions. The Lions who got to the NFC Championship game last season. And Jack was partying in New York City with our friend Alex.
Lions for Bailey's. Bailey's, the Lions bar in Manhattan.
Did you feel like a Lions fan during that time?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It was great. But I remember when they beat the Rams that first game, I had them -3, so I was kind of upset.
I remember the reel that we had. We put out a video, Jack. All these Lions fans are celebrating winning the playoff game for the first time.
And I was just like,
in a long, long time. And you see Jack going, -3.
Like they didn't cover.
-3.
But it was very cool. I became part of the Lions fan base for a couple of weeks.
So the Lions, that's the most success that they've had in 30 years. Like, the Lions haven't seen this. This is unfamiliar territory. But basically any Lions fan who we would know around our age. And I think that a lot of Lions fans, we talked about this, them finding a lot of success in last season's run where, they finally break down the door, get into the playoffs, actually go on that little bit of a run. And all of a sudden now in Detroit, there are high expectations. There's high expectations for Jared Goff. There's high expectations for Dan Campbell to deliver. And I actually think he cost them a Super Bowl opportunity last year. So the Lions finally have some pressure on them, which is not a familiar feeling for this franchise. But when you look up and down their roster, they're absolutely loaded. And I would say the second best team on paper in the NFC right now. Mm-hmm. What do you think the expectations in Detroit should be?
Well, when you talk winning a Super Bowl, I believe the only team with that expectation is probably the Chiefs. That's very hard to do.
Got to put the 49ers. Like the 49ers.
Yeah, you're right. Niners too. I'd say the Lions is reached the Super Bowl because last year they were in the NFC Championship. This roster, as you said, is quite awesome and ready to do it. They've improved the areas they had to improve on. They don't really have many holes. And if you're in that big game, in a game like that, with a huge lead, with most of the game, you're blowing the Niners out for a chance to go to the Super Bowl, you have to expect to get back there. I think anything less than that with a team this good
is a failure.
Would be a failure. So I'd say the Lions, a successful season is to reach Super Bowl.
Yeah, I get that. I'm Super Bowl or bust for Detroit right now. I think that roster is good enough where if they fall short of a Super Bowl, failure is a strong word. I would say disappointment.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm not saying wins. I'm saying get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it's crazy, that things can change this quickly in the NFL. From they were 1-8, I believe it was a couple of years ago, and here we are, a year and a half later, and I'm saying that it's Super Bowl or bust in Detroit. But I really think that is the case because they again 17-point lead in the NFC Championship game. Just to get to the Super Bowl would be great. Like I guess in some ways that is still a successful season, of course, for Detroit. But if I'm setting what is a success, I do think it's Super Bowl or bust because this team is definitely good enough with the top 5 offense. You said they made huge additions this offseason to the defensive line and the secondary. It's going to be a battle. It's not going to be easy by any means. San Francisco has the best path, to winning their division, I'd say, in terms of just dominance. And the Lions are going to have to go up against the Packers and the Bears, and we'll see what happens with the Vikings. But Producer Zack, what do you think? So I said Super Bowl or bust for the Lions. Jack says get to the Super Bowl. Is it? What do you think? Which one would you come down on?
I'm gonna go with Super Bowl, just because how close
winning
they were.
it.
Yeah,
Winning it.
I think making it.
Let's hear with Jack.
Most people tend to be. Most people tend to be.
I think it's got to be Super. I think it's Super Bowl win or bust.
Because look, it's
I mean, you only have so many years.
We're both at a very similar point. You're getting there and winning it.
Oh yeah, we're very close.
Yeah, and I can talk from like experience of being a fan of the Steelers. Like when you have a team who you feel is ready and you reach the championship game and feel like you're good enough to go to the Super Bowl and win it, when you don't get back to the championship, you feel very, very disappointed.
Oh yeah, no, but
like if the Lions fall short this year in the divisional round, I'm disappointed.
Oh, I 100% agree. Yeah, I think it's a failure if they don't get back to the conference championship. Yeah. Especially because now they're paying Sewell, they're paying Amon-Ra, they're paying Goff, they're going to have to pay Hutchinson. All these star players are going to eat up a lot of their salary cap going forward. I'm sure that it's pushed back right now, but you're handing out these massive contracts. Who knows how long it's going to be until they start to come down to earth a little bit. So that's why I put Detroit up there right now. I think Jahmyr Gibbs this season could be special.
I mean, they're ready.
I love Jahmyr. Jahmyr Gibbs in terms of fantasy, and we'll get more into it in July and August. I'm not sure if he falls outside the top 5. Jack,
we'll monitor that.
Top 5 overall picks?
Yeah, top 5. Well, I guess with receivers, top 5 running backs. Because I guess with the receivers now, they're going one.
I can see him being a top 5 running back, yeah.
But I think Jahmyr Gibbs is arguably probably a top 10 pick, right?
I mean, they're one of the better offenses it will be all season. But I see his top 10 pick, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to be amazing. And Montgomery's so good, too, that eats up a little bit. Okay, let's move around here. Let's go to those Philadelphia Eagles. We're just bouncing around at this point. The Eagles, they're a weird team to talk about. We were saying right before we started.
I'm not totally sure about this.
I know they're strange because a Super Bowl berth, probably could have won the Super Bowl if you don't get called on that PI. Who knows what happens? So they're right on the verge of winning the Super Bowl. They have a lead late in that game to a 1-6 end to last season after the 9-1 start. They replaced both coordinators again, second straight season they're doing that. And now you're working on this hybrid system of Kellen Moore's offense with Nick Sirianni's concepts, and Jalen Hurts is trying to learn all this. The very first question I think that you need to answer if you're assessing the Eagles is, do you still believe in Jalen Hurts? Is he an elite quarterback in your eyes still?
Yeah, I mean, I this is probably the toughest team that we're going to talk about on our list today. Mm-hmm. I believe Jalen Hurts is still a high level NFL capable quarterback, probably top 3 in the NFC. I mean,
with Stafford?
No, I mean you have Purdy, Goff, Dak, anywhere in that top 3 or 4, I'd say.
So what about Stafford and Love?
Oh, I forgot about Love.
I think Jalen Hurts is probably still a top 3 or
top 6, top 5.
I mean, top 6.
He's a good quarterback who can win.
Okay.
I mean, they were in the Super Bowl.
Zach's like, what is this conversation?
He's a very good high-level quarterback who's capable of winning it all. And a lot of quarterbacks can. Jalen Hurts can. He was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So for me, I'm going to say that this is a Super Bowl or bust team. I mean, last year felt like a huge, huge disappointment. Obviously, fell way short of what they wanted to do. I feel like they kind of hit their floor playing a road game in the playoffs. Oh, and they started off 10-1.
Oh, I mean, when you're 9-1 to start the season. And you go on the road in the playoffs and get murdered. That is about rock bottom, below the floor.
Coming off a Super Bowl, like that was their floor last season.
Mm-hmm.
And now to get back though to even, let's say they make the playoffs, right, and they're playing the divisional round, and they lose that game. I'm still a bit disappointed because I feel like this team is better than that. I feel like a team who was in it 2 short seasons ago should have aspirations to get back there.
Yeah, they are such a weird team.
Like they remind me of the Bengals. Like the Bengals were in it, they lost. They got a very good quarterback, a very good team. Like they should expect to get there.
Well, yeah, but they didn't blow up. Like, I mean, they went 1-6. They were horrible to end the season.
Right, no, I know.
That's what's so weird about them.
I'm saying a team like Philly, who in my eyes is like the Bengals of the NFC, should expect to reach a Super Bowl. Like anything before or short of that will be disappointing.
I agree with you because I believe there's too much talent on Philly.
Yeah.
To not. And I do believe in Jalen Hurts. I know the turnovers were up last year. The defense fell apart. You saw Brandon Graham was saying we just completely lost control. The communication on defense.
I think Kirk's a
fell
very
apart.
good quarterback.
No, I think all the can Nick Sirianni coach. No, I'm not sure how great of a coach Sirianni is. I do think Shane Steichen played a huge part in the success of the Eagles offense a couple of years ago. But in terms of Jalen Hurts specifically, I still think he's a very, very good quarterback. And Philly, it was a weird the way that they just fell apart. But when you have A.J. Brown, you have Devontae Smith, you add Saquon Barkley, who I think is just going to be a monster in that offense. When's the last time Saquon had a reliable quarterback and two stud receivers
and guys who can block for him?
Like that entire offense is really good. And Saquon's been playing with Darius Slayton as his number one receiver for 3 years, or whoever fill in the blank Giants receiver with Daniel Jones at quarterback. It's always all on Saquon. I'm telling you, I saw him in person, Jack, at the Viking Giant playoff game, and he's just amazing. the guy is just different from other running backs. We said it's McCaffrey, Saquon, and I don't even know if Derrick Henry's in that category now.
I probably put Derrick Henry there right now.
Of guys that I think are just complete difference makers at the running back position. So that addition, people aren't talking about that as much as they should. Saquon Barkley's going to be a monster. That just comes down to the defense. Can Vic Fangio take this very talented, very now very young defensive unit and make them back? No, really? Zach's just mad about Fangio. Zach's just upset about the Dolphins here.
Yeah.
Why? I thought Fangio was doing good until all your guys got hurt. What's your beef with Fangio?
I have no idea. Just now. He's
You're
not
just
on
mad.
the team anymore.
You're just a mad Dolphins fan.
He's just not on the team anymore. No, you know why I'm mad? It's because he was terrible. He didn't move players around, right? Throw yourself on.
Yeah, get on the camera.
And again, this is
the best part of the
somebody
show.
came for me in the comments about not paying Tua. We're not paying. I don't want to pay Tua. I understand if we don't pay Tua, we give up where we're going. So
you're mad at Fangio because...
But I'm mad at Fangio because Ramsey wanted to shadow all these good receivers, but he didn't let him. He literally kept... Ramsey stayed on his side, Howard stayed on his side. And that's it. That did it for you. It did, because a lot of times we get burned by good receivers because they just kept lining up on the other side.
On the other side of the field?
So you wanted Ramsey to just lock up the number one receiver?
Are we paying him to lock up the number two receiver?
No. It doesn't take much to piss off Zach.
No, I mean,
it doesn't take much.
I understand it. I am
a true Dolphins fan.
But is that the only thing that's what got you?
And every time we just played defense, it never seemed to work.
Is Super Bowl expectations for Philly when they have all these new guys in the secondary and such a young defense? Does it feel?
I mean, are their top two corners now rookies?
I mean, no. Bradbury, I think, is switching positions, and then Darius Slay is still there, but had a bad year.
You're telling me, if you're an Eagles fan and you lose next year divisional round, you're not disappointed?
Oh, you're disappointed, I think.
Yeah. Yes, I'd say reach the Super Bowl.
Win the Super Bowl is what you say. Yeah, you say win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, probably win the Super Bowl.
Look, if I'm sorry, I don't think make the Super Bowl is even if you make the Super Bowl and lose, I'm disappointed no matter what. But in terms of what you can expect for a successful season, I think Philly needs to at least get to the NFC Championship game, probably.
Yeah, I would agree.
Even divisional round, is nice, but this team is very good.
Yeah.
Last year was an abomination. Last year was the worst possible scenario.
It was their floor
for the Eagles. And I mean, if their slump had started a couple weeks earlier, they're not even making the playoffs. No. They were that bad. I can't see that happening again. I'd love to.
They're too good of a team.
I just can't see it.
They're on the wrong side of Pennsylvania, though. They're on the wrong side of Pennsylvania.
Let's stay in the NFC East here and go to the Dallas Cowboys. Another one where, I think me and you are going to disagree on this.
Make the playoffs.
Make the playoffs. What's successful for Dallas?
You know what? It's an easy answer for Dallas.
Go ahead.
It's reached the NFC Championship. They haven't reached that game in 30 years since they beat Brett Favre in 95.
I know. I hear you.
They make the playoffs every single year. They win the wild card and most of the time lose the division. Sometimes win the division. Actually, no. Mostly lose the division. If they even win the wild card.
It's all split in the NFC.
Yeah. They either lose the wild card or lose the division. They haven't reached the NFC chip, like I said, in 30 years. So to reach the NFC chip game, be one of the final 2 teams in the NFC, that's a successful season for the Cowboys. Like you can't say Super Bowl or bust if they haven't been in a Super Bowl in how long? Decades?
Yeah, the only thing I have against that though is like I feel like Dallas has been a Super Bowl contender team for how long now? Like how many people have said it's Dallas's year again and again and again, and they just.
And have they reached a championship game?
Well, that's what Jack's saying. Is Jack's saying I can't put them as a Super Bowl or bust when they don't win playoff games.
They don't win playoff
games.
They don't make it past the divisional round ever.
They never even get there.
Yeah.
But why would you be happy with just the divisional round?
I'd be happy winning a divisional round because you haven't.
But your team's been a Super Bowl team.
Have they?
They have been. They've had the expectation of being a Super Bowl team for 5 years.
I mean, but have they got to they haven't made it past the divisional round? Like if you're a Cowboys fan and you're known for choking in the playoffs, mostly in wild card rounds, reaching the NFC Championship, getting to a game you haven't been to in 30 years, that to me is success.
Oh,
like this team gets ridden constantly for being the most disappointing playoff team ever, and they probably are. Why not get to a game you haven't reached in 3 decades? Before you talk Super Bowl, win the divisional round.
I'm just looking at the Cowboys' record by season. They've had 3 straight 12-win seasons, and lost wild card, lost divisional, lost wild card. I'm going Super Bowl or bust. I get what you're saying. I really do. That it would be if they got to the conference championship game, that would be all over First Take, all over FS1. Every single news outlet would be Cowboys get back to NFC Championship game, first time since 1995. That's your headline for everyone. I just don't know if it'd be awesome for them. I think they'd be happy, but the team itself is built to win now. And they're the Dallas Cowboys. That's part of it. Part of it is that they are the Dallas Cowboys, and Dak is going to be 31 next season. I know for quarterbacks, you're hoping you have many more years of that. He'll get his contract. But I just think this team is good enough to do it. The last year, I feel bad. I feel like the Cowboys are actually getting ridden a little too hard right now. They did have a fairly inactive offseason. No, listen to this. They had a fairly inactive offseason, yes. But again, they've been 12 wins 3 straight seasons. And they just caught a Green Bay team that got red hot at the right time. I'm not sure if Green Bay wouldn't have gone into Detroit and done, they could have done that to the Lions. They could have done that to the Buccaneers if they played them. Green Bay should have gone to the NFC Championship game. So Dallas, there were some things that they should have addressed, but the team itself is still really, really good. And I think there's enough talent there that, I look at the roster and say they're probably a top 4 talent team in the NFC, and they should expect to go and win the Super Bowl if I'm a Cowboys fan.
I just think it's hard to put them in that Super Bowl category and haven't been there in over 30 years.
No, I know. I totally get that.
You got to reach around you haven't reached before.
Yeah. No, I completely understand that. I just like it. They're getting back Diggs. They're getting back Trayvon.
But to me, let's say
it was inactive, though. The offseason was a bit of a disappointment, but I think they're just good enough.
Let's say you're the Cowboys. You win the NFC East. You get a 2 or a 3 seed. Like to go on the road in the NFC chip to San Francisco, get a monkey off your back, but lose in that round.
But the monkey off your back is also beating San Francisco, overcoming San Francisco.
I think a monkey off your back's winning more than 1 playoff game. If you reach the game to get to the Super Bowl, that to me is success for Dallas.
I think if they lose in San Francisco again in the conference championship game, it's all like Dallas fans are gonna be looking at it saying like, "This is awesome, we got back," and then they lose that game. They're going, "We just can't get over the hump. Like we just can't." I think the hump is winning at San Francisco.
I think the hump's the championship game. I think the hump's past the divisional round.
Yeah. No. Again, I understand where you're coming from. All right, let's go on here. Let us know in the comment section. The Cowboys are a tough case, but
Cowboys and Eagles are both tough cases.
Good. I mean, they're good teams. But yeah. All right, let's go to the Green Bay Packers here. The Packers, as we know, I mean, we talk about them on this show, having a really pleasant offseason so far. And Jordan Love actually came out. He said, I'll read you a quote. He said, "The Packers are in an awesome spot right now. The bond that started off last year, we became a lot closer just through the adversity of last season, making a run at the end there. Coming into OTAs, there's been so much energy in the building. Since I've been here, I feel like this is the closest team I've been a part of. It's been awesome to see the guys coming out competing. Everyone at this time is very cool because you're building relationships, getting closer with guys, getting out there, putting in the work every day. I think we're in an awesome spot. And I think he's right on a lot of levels that Green Bay is in an awesome spot. There aren't a lot of huge problems, distractions, or even points of pressure on Green Bay heading into this offseason for the first time in a while. And when you look around the rest of the NFC, all those teams, I mean, we just said it with Dallas. McCarthy's under fire. Dak's contract's there. They can't get to the championship game. The Eagles, we just said. Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, like what's going on? They imploded. Even the Rams, Matthew Stafford stay healthy. The Falcons and Bears are bringing in new pieces. The biggest or the most complete team in terms of avoiding distractions and noise right now, I would say, is probably the Lions outside of Green Bay. Mm-hmm. And even they now have the pressure of paying all these guys and getting there. So I don't want to sound like Green Bay has no problems. I think a big one is will Jordan Love, not problem, but distraction, I guess could be, or a question mark, is will Jordan Love continue the success he had? Because it was only a 10-game sample, as good as he was. And then it would be Jeff Hafley's defense coming together, but I'm not too concerned about that. So for the Packers, Jack, yeah, again, a team that's had a really pleasant offseason. Vibes are through the roof, and all Packers fans seem to be sky high right now. What do you think is a successful year? We talked about expectations a couple episodes ago for Green Bay. What do you think successful for the Packers?
I mean, I and the Packers fans won't like this because they are saying Super Bowl, which they have every right to. This team can win the Super Bowl. I'd say get back to NFC divisional round where you were last year.
Wait, that's successful?
I agree.
Oh,
I think so, yeah.
No.
I mean, this team was 9-8 last year.
No, I completely disagree.
This team, what was their win total last year? It was
10?
Was it 10?
I think they were 10-7.
What was their win total? Win
total. I don't know. Heading into last year?
Yeah.
I don't know. It might have been like 6.5 or something, 5.5.
It also all depends. Like,
it was a huge success last season.
Yeah, huge success. And now you're competing with the Lions once again, who in my eyes are probably a little better than you. I think you should be expecting probably the number 5 seed. And that involves winning a road.
Oh, man.
That involves winning a road playoff game and going on the road to San Fran in the second round.
I think.
I think
strong disagree, Jack.
Why?
First off, I think the expectation for Packers,
like these guys were 9-8. Like these guys were 9-8.
Were they 9-8 or 10-7?
9-8.
9-8.
They exceeded expectations. I just want to see Jordan Love repeat success, get back to where you were.
Dude, they were a missed kick away from going to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, but you know how hard it is to advance.
Detroit in Detroit.
You know how hard it is to
Lions
advance.
Fans are going to get mad.
You know how hard it is to advance past that.
It's really hard.
Do you think Green Bay is the best team in the NFC? You said the Lions.
I think the Lions are a little bit better, but I think everyone in Green Bay thinks that they're better than Detroit.
So a successful season to me is with what I think, the Lions being better than them.
I don't think Detroit's that much better though.
But I think they are better.
Like if you have a gun to my head, I'm going to pick the Lions to beat the Packers to win the division. But would I be shocked at all if Green Bay won? No.
So I'm saying, no, neither would I. I'm picking Detroit to win the division. So I'm saying Green Bay's on the road, and to win a playoff game on the road and get back to San Fran is a success.
See, I think for Green Bay winning the division is one. I think they need to win the division. I think that's an expectation, a very realistic one. Like if I understand. I feel like. If it was a situation like the Niners and the Rams, where I just believe the Niners are much better than the Rams, they crush them every time, then I'd say, okay, get back to like for the Rams to get to the divisional round, win a wild card, like that's a great season. But Green Bay should expect to win the North. Detroit's not that. They beat Detroit, crushed them the last time they played. So I think that getting an NFC title is one very realistic and something that they should expect to do.
I think it's realistic too.
But then if you just get back to the divisional. Even if they go on the road and win a wild card game and the season ends, it's like I think it's a good. You're like, okay, that's an okay season. We got to the divisional round, but when you were that close to the conference championship game, and you come in now and have all this hype, I think the conference championship is the benchmark for Green Bay.
But this team is so far ahead of schedule.
They're way ahead. Like, of schedule.
do we know that they're as good as they were last season?
No, we don't. That's the big question.
Was it an anomaly?
That's the question.
Like, I think to prove you're not an anomaly is to get back to where you were.
Yeah, I think if they got anywhere short of there, then it's a huge disappointment.
There's a chance this team plays some great football, and they're very, very good. I'm just trying to play a little bit of devil's advocate for these guys. Is what if last year was a fluke?
No, and that's certainly a possibility. And that's what I said before. It was only 10 games, even though it was a very, very, very good 10 games.
No, but
of Jordan Love.
You're starting to interrupt. But like if this team wins the North, right, and
Sure.
they get a number 2 seed, let's say, and last year wasn't a fluke, wasn't a flash in the pan. Last year was legitimate, which I hope it is. I'd say NFC Championship game beyond where you were last year, but. I think the main thing for me, and this is where I'll get my head chopped off, is wanting to see this team who is so far ahead of schedule just show right now, while Jordan Love and this whole crew is still super young, that
they're legit.
Last year wasn't a flash in the pan.
I think you'll see that so quickly.
I think getting back to the divisional round, especially if you don't win the division, is a good season for a young team.
What if they're an 11, and now we're just playing a hypothetical game, but what if they're 11-6? Detroit goes 12-5. So Green Bay's battling with them all year. One of the top 5 teams in the NFC. They get a wild card spot. Let's say they get the 5. They beat Atlanta or Tampa Bay, and then they lose at Detroit. You think that's
like Detroit as a number 1 seed?
Detroit's the number 2 seed, and they play Green Bay.
Green Bay will play the Niners.
Whoever. Let's say they go back and play the Niners, and lose to the Niners again. I think, if I were a Packer fan, I'd just go.
Well, hold on.
That was not a fun season, but
I think it would be disappointing, but I think it's a successful season.
So in your eyes, success is legitimately just validating Jordan Love.
Yeah, I think it's validating that your team is good.
Yeah, I'm saying it's taking a step.
Maybe the following year for me be taking a step.
Okay. No, I get it. I understand. I think everything, we're kind of close on everything, but
I'm going to get murdered in these comments.
I don't know. I think some people will agree with you that it's not enough games to prove to them that Love's great. But
can this team win it? Yeah, they can. They can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, they can win the Super Bowl. And that's why I have them in the championship game, being the barometer of success. The last team we're going to talk about, and it is crazy that just how nice everything is going there. When you see, there's no problem.
Oh yeah, I'm just playing a little bit of devil's advocate here.
We'll have mini camp reactions on the Packers next week with Ziggy. The last team we're going to talk about.
I'm going 14-3, I think, in the schedule prediction. So they go 14-3, get the 1 seed. Yeah, it's Super Bowl. Anything short, that's a disappointment.
The last team we're going to talk about today are the Atlanta Falcons, Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. We tried to keep it to most of the contenders. The 49ers, for any 49ers fans who listen, we just automatically assume that it's Super Bowl or bust for San Francisco. We all know that that team's been flirting. They've been flirting with winning a Super Bowl now for several years. And what's so impressive about San Francisco, too, is that they've been flirting with the Super Bowl with so many different quarterbacks, or with just so many different looks to their team. Even then, they just stay dominant the entire time. I guess so many quarterbacks. It's really Garoppolo, Purdy, but still, it's been pretty impressive to me just how they're able to stay dominant atop the league. The Falcons, though, this one is another one that I think you could go multiple ways on. You bring in Kirk, and Kirk Cousins is someone who has not had a lot of playoff success in his career. I think he's won 1 game, and it was the Vikings-Saints game in New Orleans that I can't believe they won that game to begin with. But the Kyle Rudolph touchdown in the back of the end zone. Gosh, I'm going to start fading away into a happy memory here. But when they won that game, it felt like a huge monkey was taken off Kirk Cousins' shoulders. The Vikings went on to lose to the 49ers the next round, but he finally got that playoff win. Kirk has had a ton of success in the regular season. His stats are off the charts. But when it comes to playoff success, it's just not really there. And I think that kind of weighs in a little bit in the discussion of what's successful for Atlanta. And they're so weird because in Atlanta, they're all in on a Super Bowl. Like if you ask the Falcons, what is it? It's Super Bowl or bust. Mm-hmm. But from the outside perspective, there's still a lot of question marks. I think the biggest, the biggest relief for Falcons fans could be that Kirk was great with Jordan Addison and Brandon Powell and TJ Hawkinson last year. Without Justin Jefferson, that's when he was playing his best football. So it really was Kirk carrying the team. But in your eyes, Jack, is Kirk enough to make this Falcons team a Super Bowl or bust team?
No, not even close to that. I think they should seriously expect to win the NFC South.
That's successful.
That
Just winning the South?
No. That's what they should. That's
expectation.
If they don't do that, it's a total disappointment.
Okay.
They should expect to win this. I believe they're like minus 200 to win the NFC South.
You like the Bucs though, right?
To win the South?
No. Like you think the Bucs are very, very going to be very competitive.
Yeah, I think the Falcons will win it though.
Okay.
You should expect to win the South. Get a home playoff game. First home playoff game in a while for Atlanta, I believe, since the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Then you host a team probably like Philly or Detroit or Green Bay or Dallas. Winning that game is a successful season.
I'm completely with you.
I think to win a playoff game, which would be on your home field against one of those teams, is success. Anything beyond that is a cherry on top. Winning the divisions is what should be expected. Anything shy of the division is disappointing.
I am completely with you on that. It's nuts when you talk about the team they're probably going to have to play. If they were, assuming they're the 4, and the Atlanta schedule's pretty light. Remember we went through it?
But
right
even
after
the 3, it's the same slew of teams.
No, it's the 3 as well.
Same.
I mean, Atlanta, though, if things go right, they could have a shot at the 2 or the 1. They really could. Like, the schedule is light enough that if it clicks the way Falcons fans want it to, I'm not saying that they're on the same tier in my mind as the 49ers or even Detroit in terms of the actual roster, but the way the schedule falls, there is a world where the Falcons could be good enough to beat almost everyone on that schedule. And if that's the case, if they're the 2 seed, maybe a little bit of a fluky 2 seed, but then you're playing an easier matchup. But yeah, I'm sorry, that's off the record.
Yeah,
off track.
But no, I mean, like, that's really depending on your seed, expectations would change.
But yeah, let's say they're the 3 or the 4, and they do get one of the NFC East teams or one of the NFC North teams, which is what we expect. I'm completely with you because those are the Super Bowl contenders in the NFC along with San Francisco. If you beat one of the Super Bowl contenders, get to that second round, the divisional round, now anything's possible still.
Yeah.
I mean, look, like the Bucs and the Lions last year, if you told them they got to the divisional round, they'd be thrilled. And then once they got there, it was like, wait a second, like we could win this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Detroit, we said, was 17-point lead in the NFC Championship game. So I'm with you. I think divisional round is it for the Falcons. And then probably, I mean, if they get to the divisional round, we're probably sitting here next year saying it's, Super Bowl is on in Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, again, in the end, like seeding, like your expectations would change once the seeds come out.
Yeah.
I mean, a team like Green Bay last year being a 7, huge success what they did. If they're a 6 or 7 again, it would be a success. If they're a 2, you want to go further.
They're another weird case,
that all varies.
I think they're another weird case, though, at the Falcons, more so than the other ones, because no one really knows their timeline. Kirk could implode immediately. His knee could blow, or his Achilles could pop again, and it's over. He could be awesome the way he was last year, and then maybe you have 3 years of him, but Michael Penix is there, so when are they going to make that move? You don't really know what's the timeline is for this Kirk Cousins run in Atlanta. So it's strange because if it is only 2 years and then they want to play Penix, in some ways it has to be a Super Bowl because we're on the clock already. And Green Bay doesn't have that. Detroit doesn't really have that, even though we were talking about the contracts. Eagles don't have that. The Cowboys signed Dak. They don't have that. The 49ers don't really have that, even though they're getting older. But the Falcons really kind of have that pressure on them to win now.
Oh, look, Falcon, they're going to say Super Bowl or bust.
Yeah.
I just don't believe this team's going to win a Super Bowl.
I'm going to need to see it. Frankly, I'm going to have to see it.
We got to see it.
If Kirk comes out and is slinging it around, I expect them to be very similar to what the Vikings were with Kirk.
Yes, I agree.
That's how I view it. They could get to the playoffs. Divisional round is awesome, but you're probably capped there.
Mm-hmm.
But that, again, Atlanta might even just take that with what they've had. So there you go. There are your expectations for some NFC teams heading into next season. I'm sure we'll have variations of this show coming out over the next few months. Again, we are in that point of the season now where you look for NFL news and it's like, okay.
It's like there's not much.
We're begging for something.
Let's see what we can do.
We're begging for something. Get Jordan Love. Give us a quote.
What we're begging for? Members.
Zach's begging for memberships.
Yes.
Zach, you have tomorrow off.
I do have
What are you going to do tonight? Celebrate?
I'm probably going to watch Star Wars tonight.
Is like you taking some teeter shooters tonight?
Nope.
No?
Well, no, because I'll die.
Zach, Zach, for the Star Wars fans, can you off the top of your head rank 1 through 9 right now?
I have to leave. I have to leave. Do this after the show.
Sure, rank 1 through 9.
1 through 9.
You got it?
Yeah. This is going to be a hated one, but
You got to go rapid fire, Zach.
I love episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Number 1?
Yeah.
Oh, people. Yeah, you're done.
No, okay, you know what? I'll do...
Oh, no. I want your rankings.
No. I will take, what do you call it? Revenge of the Sith. Then Attack of the Clones. Then... New Hope. Return of the Jedi.
Empire?
And then I'm going to be honest with you.
You don't care about
I don't care.
the new trilogy.
Phantom Menace will go after thing, and then the new trilogy could just
really. I thought Force Awakens could have been in there. I thought Force Awakens was good.
They could really just suck it because God knows who was in charge of that because it wasn't George Lucas.
I mean, we could go on for a long time on Star Wars.
We got to wrap this up.
We'll wrap it up.
I got to drive to PA.
Yeah, Jack needs to go and pick up his sister. So,
and any hatch suggestions, please throw them out there. I have everything.
We appreciate everyone who's been listening. We can't wait for football to get started again, so we could have some more things to talk about. But for everyone who listened, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Everyone helps. We see subscriber counts, and literally every single one, we're like, all right, that's awesome. New person. And for everyone who leaves the comments, that's awesome. That's great too, because we see basically all of them as well. So all right, we'll see you next Tuesday. Ziggy will be back, and we'll have some quarterback rankings. So we'll dive into those. We'll see who puts Jordan Love in the top 5. See ya.